Hello, are you here to debate?
Yes, sir.
All right. Can I just get your name, age, and pronouns?
One second. Let me pause your chat so I can hear you here. Okay, pause. My name is Kevin. I am 37, and in the spirit of the debate, I do not identify.
You do not identify.
Yeah, so obviously you can probably tell that my date is going to be the trans men and women or men and women and the gender affirming care.
Okay. But you don't, so you don't identify with any pronouns.
I personally, I believe that it's disrespectful to ask people. There's all kinds of people who believe in it. There's all kinds of people who don't.
So you don't believe in pronouns.
Well, let's start at, well, I got some trans friends, and one of the biggest thing that always comes up is it's a, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm just waking up here. Social construct.
Okay.
Right? So what is a social construct? My understanding is that it's simply just an idea put in place to make things easier for humans to understand about, right?
Well, no. Social constructs would just be things like that were created by like people like socially, like things that exist within social groups that don't exist outside of social groups.
Right. So it's just kind of an idea to help keep things in check.
What do you mean by keep things?
So,
What do you mean by keep things in check?
well, like I said, a social construct is essentially rules that are put in place that ultimately aren't even real things. It's just rules put in place. It's just ideas like laws. They're just words on paper that are then enforced by police officers. But there's like the law in and of itself is not a real tangible object.
Yes, but social
But it
constructs are
is an
still
idea
real.
that we have put in place.
Wait, something being a social construct doesn't make it not real, right? Money is a social construct. Money is very real. The value that we place on money, right? You could argue is
debate.
you could.
Sorry, my girl just walked in.
That's fine. I would just say, you can say the value of money is a like abstract thing, but this doesn't make it not real.
Right, but money, I can like go to the bank, I can withdraw money, and I can have it in my hand. Therefore, it is an actual real.
Yes, but the value of that money is socially constructed. That money only has value because we as a society deem it to have value.
Right. Therefore, I would also agree that the idea for money, I mean, that's a whole other debate there, but let me step outside here. Nice and sunny, and I'd love to have some cigarettes. Love you, baby. One. I'll be ready. All right, so I guess my thing is that ultimately it's just an idea that's being pushed forward, like kind of like religion, for instance. Like there's psychology that explains the things that are great for people who go into different various religions. And it's kind of the same thing with transgenderism. And then if we have the idea of a social construct, which even the way you're explaining it, to me, it just kind of seems like just human ideas that we use to go off of. If that is the case, none of it actually exists.
Can I ask you a question?
And therefore, I don't see the point of identifying either way.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
All right.
You said you just talked to your girlfriend. Do you love your girlfriend?
Well, of course.
Love is a socially constructed thing. Are you saying that you don't actually love your girlfriend because it doesn't exist?
I'm saying that love as an emotion, I think you're right. It doesn't exist. Love is a commitment. Love is waking up every day and saying, this is the person that I want to spend my life with. This is the person who makes me happy. This is the person that I would die for.
Yes, this is a socially constructed thing.
I don't have to have society dictate to me who I care about, though. Now, as far as emotion, yeah, it's just not a thing. I agree with you there. Love does not exist as far as an actual emotion.
You existing and loving another person and that person reciprocating that love would be a social interaction. It doesn't need, when we say social constructs, it doesn't need to be like a larger society. It can be a construct of between two people interacting.
Right, but it doesn't have to be a social thing. Like there's recluses that live out in the middle of the woods who don't interact with society, but they still have people they love. They have their animals they love. They have their lifestyle that they love.
Those are still social
interactions. Which again, I would argue is just a commitment to maintaining the things you care about.
Those are social interactions. Love is a
Right.
socially constructed thing.
But I can tell if somebody actually loves somebody or not.
How? How would you tell if someone loves another person?
Well, let's say you got a couple walking down the road, and a girl comes up and slips the guy her number. Is he going to throw it up? Is he going to rip it apart? Is he going to say, "Hey, babe, this weird chick just gave me her number," or is he going to slip it into his pocket?
Let me ask you a question.
If he slips it into his pocket, he doesn't love her.
Can I love someone that mistreats me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So there's so the only real way to tell if someone loves someone is by them telling you that they love somebody.
Well, no. You can see it on how people act and how they treat others.
Wait.
There's people who have a different level of love that they give to everybody all the time.
If you walk down the road and saw like a guy screaming at his partner, you can't make a claim that either of them love another person, love each other, like whether they love each other, right? You can't make that determining factor. No, you can't.
Just because two people are screaming, I don't know where I heard this. I want to say it was some Buddhist thing, but it was probably just some skit on YouTube.
Thank you, Boo.
Like, there's a few monks up on a hill. They look down, see a guy and a girl having a picnic, and then they just start getting into it, and they start screaming at each other. So one decides to ask the other monks, "Hey, why are they screaming at each other? They're right there." And both of them are like, "Well, they're really, really angry at each other." Okay, cool. The older monk then says, "It's because their hearts are too far apart right now for them to hear each other. They still love each other, but their hearts are too far apart." Now, in this argument, is somebody putting their hands on the other one? Is somebody trying to actually get physical and aggressive? Then I would argue, no, that person does not love that person.
You're just proving.
But people fight and people argue all the time.
You're just proving my point. Like, you're quite literally proving my point.
That people can love each other and still argue?
My point is that you can't tell whether someone loves each other simply by seeing them on the street, right? Love is an internal emotion. You determine whether you love someone, not the action.
Well, I would disagree on the emotion part, but I got you.
Well, it's definitely an emotion.
Well, I think we're just going to have to agree to disagree on that specific point. But
I'm sorry, what do you think emotions are?
Emotions are reactions to outside stimulus. If my cat were to die, I would be grieved. I would be sad. If I won $1,000 on a scratch-off ticket, I would be ecstatic. I would be happy. If somebody came and just decided to slash my tires, I would be angry.
So how would love not meet that
But I don't make a commitment to feel that emotion, which is what love is.
How would love not be part of those qualifiers?
Because you can love somebody and not necessarily have emotions that dictate that go around all the time.
Wait. Love is the emotion. Love would be the reaction to a stimulus, and the stimulus would be another person.
They make you feel a bunch of other emotions. They make you feel happy. They, help pick you up. They make you feel confident. Those are the emotions. The love is the dedication to maintaining this person so that you can maintain those emotions with them. It's choosing that every day, this is the life that I want. That's what I personally believe love is. I don't believe it's an emotion.
Okay. Here's okay. When it comes to these abstract, like, human feelings or whatever, when we say that, like, we love someone, right? That is an internal assertion. That is an internal thing, right? Nobody else can tell me whether I love someone. No one can tell me what love feels like in my brain. Nobody can tell me any of these things, right? Gender is the same way. Gender's like the exact same way. Like, our gender identities are internal. Somebody can't tell you what yours is. Somebody can't tell you how yours engages with how yours works in coinciding with the world around you. Like, it's the same thing.
All right, no, I get all that. I don't. The only science that backs it up is psychology, as far as I understand. There might be more now. I know they've been working on womb transplants,
Just which real quick, neuroscience also backs this up.
Sorry?
Neuroscience also backs this up.
Oh, okay. I'll have to actually look at this. The first time I've actually heard of that.
Yeah,
There's
we
a
know
talk I have with
we
people
know
called
what
just
part of
simply
our
psychology, which is an ever-changing field.
yeah we know what part of our brain lights up when we're utilizing things that maintain that like engage in like gender identity or gender thought. We know where that part of our brain is, and we
Okay, well
know
then,
we
yeah,
even
if the
know.
science is actually being able to pinpoint this now, then now I finally feel like they actually have a real argument. And have you happened to have seen the movie Bicentennial Man?
Yes.
Okay, so for anyone who hasn't seen it, watching Bicentennial Man, Robin Williams movie. He's a robot, he cracks his head, and then he becomes sentient, starts making body parts, and eventually becomes a full-on human. I kind of feel that's where society is kind of headed towards, and I'm honestly super interested to see it. We're going to start getting out a lot more science. There's going to be a lot more stuff, because I'll tell you, I don't know stuff. I don't know crap. Like, these are all just opinions, and I love being able to actually have a discussion with somebody who thinks the opposite. This is great. I love that you do this. Lots of respect.
All right.
But I really feel like that's where the world is going to be heading soon.
Okay.
It'll get to a point where manhood and womanhood really won't matter. But as of the current moment, like you said, neuroscience, I'm going to start looking that up because that's interesting. I don't know. It's like life, love, and pursuit of happiness for me. I couldn't care less what anybody does. But kind of like every single religion out there, until there's, some tangible stuff out there for me to look at, I can't believe it.
But again,
I don't respect anybody.
What is it you're claiming not to believe?
That trans men and women are men and women. I kind of look at it like esports.
What do you?
Esports is not sports. They're esports. Trans men and women aren't men and women. They're trans men and trans women. And that's perfectly fine.
Esports by their nature are sports. They're electronic sports.
Well,
they're sports done electronically.
Yeah, you're right. They're electronic sports. They're esports.
Is an electric guitar a guitar?
Yeah, but it's got electric pickups in it. That'd be more like trying to say.
But it is a guitar, right?
I think a more accurate description or accurate comparison would be like, what's the term I'm looking for here? Is the Special Olympics not considered Olympics? I think that would be more accurate because they got extra electronic parts in them too. But they're still badasses and they still do the sports. But for an electric guitar and a regular guitar, they're still a musical instrument. I don't have to plug in the electric guitar to be able to play it. Interesting you bring up guitars, though. I actually am a guitar player, so I feel like that was an insightful comment on you.
Okay. I'm not... Okay. Can I just ask you, what do you think gender is?
Well, like we established at first, it's a social construct, which is just, social norms and social ideals that are put into place.
Okay, so if you agree that gender is a socially constructed thing, then why can't trans men and women be men and women? If it's a social construct,
because they're trans men and they're trans women.
Trans is just an adjective,
right? That's just how I look at it.
Are tall women women?
And once more biology comes out and more science comes out, then like I said, everything I'm thinking right now is probably wrong. There's all kinds of things I don't know, and I would not tell other people otherwise. But guy who's disrespectfully choosing to debate people on YouTube, I had to call. This is too great.
Sure, it's not wrong because the science isn't out yet. It's wrong because you have a fundamental misunderstanding of how social constructs work and how gender works in general, right? Gender is not some objective thing that we all have that is always one way. Gender is a fluid and moving thing within our brains. So when we're saying
there's neuroscience now, like I said, I definitely plan on looking that up because there's more to it, and I'm interested to see how it goes.
Even before that, when I say that a trans woman is a woman, what I'm saying is that this is a woman who just so happens to have a gender identity that doesn't align with their sex. I'm not making some new claim that they're this new type of creature, right? It's just an adjective to describe the type of woman that they are.
Right. I feel like that is perfectly valid, and that should just be what's used. I understand the lack of acceptance in our society, which is kind of stupid considering that trans people have existed since, 1200s, earliest that I've seen.
But you've made the assertion that they are not women.
Yes, but that doesn't mean I would never respect them. I've got a couple of trans friends. I will call her she. I will call him him. But they both know my stance on it. Just don't ask me to believe it. I'll respect you though.
But it's not that's not respect. That's just you
I
saying
don't have to believe you to respect your beliefs. Just like, I'm not a Christian, but if I go eat with my sister and her family, I pray with them.
But it's not a belief. There's no belief system at play here.
Well, you say that, but the last time I spoke with a friend of mine, we had this actual very same discussion. She even said sometimes in order to know if you're trans, you have to take a literal leap of faith. So if it's all faith-based, that means it's all just a belief system.
Well, what? It's not faith-based either.
Well, I'm just saying this is what she told me. Because I actually pulled up a thing and it was like, how do you know you're trans? And we was talking about this and everything on this list. If I would have been born 20 years later, I would have been so screwed up because I was a little boy who liked to play dress up with his sister and play with dolls, and I didn't like people, especially other boys, very much. Everything on that paper that I had looked up basically says I should have been trans. So it comes down to, how do you know? And nobody seems to know how you know, unless you just take that leap of faith.
The way you know is it's just an internal feeling, right? This is what we're like. How do you know you're cisgender? You just know. Like, I know I'm a man because I just know I'm a man. The same way with
cisgendered, because when I see naked women, I think, oh, hell yeah. But when I see a naked guy, I think, bleh.
That has nothing to do with you being trans. That would be your sexuality.
No, that's the cisgender. That's the last point you just made. That's how I know that I'm cisgendered.
No,
I am physically and sexually attracted to women, not men.
That would mean you're straight, not cisgendered. Cisgendered.
That's what cisgendered is.
No,
I'm a man, born a man. I identify with the sexuality that a straight man would have.
No,
so straight, cisgendered, however you want to call it.
No, cisgender just means that your gender identity aligns with your sex that you were assigned at birth, not that you're straight or gay.
Okay. I feel like you're just describing the same thing two different ways.
If I liked men, I would still be cisgendered. Even if I was gay, I would still be a cisgender individual. It doesn't have anything to do with your sexuality.
Oh, okay, I see what you said. Okay, that's a good point then.
Okay.
I always assumed that went with it. That's actually my bad then.
No, it doesn't. That's what I'm saying. When it comes to your gender identity, it's just an innate sense of self. You just know. You just have this innate sense of who you are.
Well, there's people in insane asylums who have that exact same thing, thinking they're the Queen of England. So where is the line? And I'm not saying this to poke a jab, but as a legitimate question, how do we draw the line from delusion and actual, like, affirming identity?
Okay. So
you said neuroscience before, so there probably is a lot more now that I am just uneducated on. But
even sans neuroscience, the way you would draw the line is we would look at what we classify as delusional, right? We don't classify having a gender identity as delusional, but pretending that you're another person, right? Thinking you're another human, thinking that you are somebody who you are not. That might be considered a delusion in some areas. It might not in others.
Because until, 20 years ago, it was still considered delusion? Gender dysphoria, I think is what it was called?
No, gender identity disorder was considered a mental illness. That's because we had a misunderstanding of what gender identity disorder and what it is now known as gender dysphoria is. And gender dysphoria is not something that solely happens to trans people. It also happens to cisgender people as well. Anyone can experience gender dysphoria.
Okay. I see what you're saying. I'm going to look up some more stuff.
I think
but this was absolutely great, and I do have some stuff to do. I 100% respect your platform. I hope you keep at it. I hope you don't have any more trolls come on. I think I saw you get trolled one day by some racist dude. I felt bad about that.
All right, no problem.
All right, but everybody watching, it was good hanging out. It was a great debate. I'm glad it was civil. I look forward to watching more of your content.
All right, you have a good one.
Use real.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for watching this video, and I want to give a special shout out to my YouTube members. Their names are on the side. Membership starts at $2.99 a month, and you get early access to videos, exclusive members-only videos, and access to the Red Mirror Media Discord server. Thank you again to my members, and thanks for watching.